Hi everybody, it's Helen Birch here. Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to get over sexual guilt and shame. So we all know that sex is an essential part of life and we all like it in some form, even if we don't want to admit it. Your life can get better with better sex. Your confidence, your self-image and your mental health can all be enhanced by having better sex. But why do so many of us associate sex with guilt and shame if it's such an essential and potent tool for life? So first of all, I just want to talk about stress and the impact that stress can have on sex and creating shame and guilt. So here are a few pointers to get you started if you've been looking for ways to increase your sexual intelligence, pinpoint any causes of sexual tension, and start to let go of the guilt associated with any issues that you may have. So first of all, you need to be recognizing the sources of sexual stress. How would you rate your levels of daily stress? Think about what is stressing you out, and then think about how stressful modern life is. So stress in modern life activates the fight or flight response, and it makes sense that stress would then affect our sexual lives and lower our libido. However, the majority of people add sexual tension on top of their regular stress, further enhancing any guilt or shame that they attach to sex. When attempting to control your sex stress, there are a couple of factors to take into account. So just have a think about what has been your worst experience with sexual issues when you've been under stress or pressure. Was it erection problems? Maybe it was just being out of the mood, having wandering thoughts where you basically come out of your body and end up back in your own head. Second, consider whether you should avoid certain situations in order to lessen your sexual tension and thus lessen any guilt you may have. And the answer is probably yes. When addressing sexual troubles, there are some scenarios that can make you feel more stressed, have more guilt and more shame than usual. And these could consist of having sex following a dispute or an argument. It could be first date sex, it could be having one night stands, and it could also be having time sensitive or time pressured sex, such as if you're trying to conceive. Thirdly, how well do you think you control your emotions? And how well do you understand your feelings? So just for men, most men are quite analytical, constantly analysing their surroundings, whereas women on the other hand can be quickly distracted, inhibited or willing to have sex even though they don't truly desire it at that moment. And this might come at the expense of our feelings. Internal conflict results from your subconscious learning to repress and ignore your emotions. By ignoring your feelings, you won't be able to tell whether you're anxious or uncomfortable, feeling shame or guilt until your body triggers that fight or flight response. There is an internal struggle going on, and then that means that your sexual organs, such as your vulva or your penis, are just not going to cooperate or work properly. So what are some blocks psychologically? So here's just a little sex education. Sex requires emotions, and I'm not specifically referring to romantic relationships, but all sexual encounters begin with an emotional trigger because we need to feel accepted, desired and good. And it makes sense that your mind and body would be confused because of internal experiences which are differing from the mental experiences, which then in turn differ from any physical experiences you may be having. The body stores emotional strain. We take them about with us and we make an effort not to think about them because they become imprisoned in our muscles. They create tension, stress chemicals or hormones like cortisol. The jaw, the diaphragm and the pelvic floor are the three major body parts that have the greatest capacity to be impacted emotionally. The vagus nerve can be stimulated in a number of ways, one of which is to relieve and let go of some of these emotional barriers and also release any guilt or shame. So the vagus nerve, what is it? The primary nerves of the parasympathetic nervous system are the vagus nerves, also referred to as the vagal nerves. And this system regulates a variety of bodily responses, including digestion, heart rate, and your immune system. And you cannot consciously regulate these involuntary functions, hence, that is why they are involuntary. So, how can your vagus nerve be stimulated? So, here is just a quick and effective vagus nerve calibration method. So, basically, you just want to turn your head one way until you can experience tightness, and then look down and just breathe and just let yourself feel, trying to maintain as much tension in the neck as you can. And then hold it until you swallow. You can feel your swallow deepening, or you can feel that the tension is being subsequently released. Then proceed with the opposite side, again holding the tension and then looking down while you breathe. With help of this easy practice, any emotional obstacles that have been accumulated can be released. And I will be adding some more vagus nerve exercises, which I'll leave a description in the link below. So, shame. Regardless of their background, many women associate sex and sexual pleasure with some level of guilt and dread. So men and women are expected to act in certain ways when it comes to desire by society. Women are still taught that being or feeling sexually attracted to someone is wrong and should be something they are ashamed of. Any sex education offered in schools tends to focus on not getting STIs, also menstruation and contraception. Pleasure and enjoyment are not mentioned at all. Shame has become internalised and reinforced generation after generation as a result of focusing sex exclusively on reproduction rather than pleasure. And for men, shame for men typically manifests as an inability to behave as a man should. Shame is a common emotion among males, especially with erectile dysfunction. But before you can conquer any erectile troubles, shame must be faced because it goes beyond just feeling ordinary humiliation or embarrassment. So, shame. How does it feel? When we don't act on the information that our feelings convey, it can accumulate in a variety of words. And we must strengthen the link between the body and mind in order to control those feelings of shame. So if you just think about any feelings of shame that you've got, then you need to find that location of feelings in your body when you're experiencing the shame, and then try and explain or vocalize them. Also, employing vagus nerve calibrations after that is a really useful way to identify the feeling of shame and then release it. To release emotions and stimulate the rest and digest system, which is crucial for arousing sexual desire, the vagus nerve has to be and can be reset. Sex-related shame can be complicated. It may involve social isolation, self-criticism, an obsession with a sexual activity, and an irritability towards others because you feel you're not fulfilling their needs. When sex doesn't go as planned, do you treat yourself poorly? When sex doesn't go as planned, do you behave poorly towards other people? Are you saying negative thoughts to yourself? So I just want to talk now just a little bit about the shame cycle. So when sexual disorders, it's common to experience shame, and this shame can have an impact on how we behave in many areas of our lives. We may be irate, isolate ourselves from people, or occupy ourselves with things such as work and other busy tasks. These actions may lead to even more self-doubt and guilt. We then exhibit this behaviour again during sexual activity, establishing a cycle of shame. Someone might start to believe that they have every right to feel horrible about themselves, internalizing all that shame and guilt, again, because they're not performing in the way they want. They constantly become even more judgmental of their own actions. Their body then shifts into fight or flight mode, which affects our sexual drive and results in uncomfortable sexual experiences that further cause us to feel more shame, and the more critical we then feel of ourselves. So, sharing your sentiments of guilt with others can help reduce their influence over you. Speaking with your partner, a friend, or a therapist breaks the cycle of sexual and erection problems. It also breaks the cycle of shame, guilt, and bad habits. So, just thinking, have you spoken to your partner, if you have one, about how your sexual troubles affect you? So, men and women's experiences can be directly compared, yet they are both subject to differences and change. And it is possible to lessen the guilt associated with having a sexual desire or problem by combating the stigma, promoting sex positivity in the wider society, and also opening up and enhancing the narrow definition of sex. Foreplay, orgasm, equality, communication, and reconnection are some strategies to balance this situation. So, both men and women should be using their brains during foreplay. Arousal needs to extend outside of the genitals in order to increase quality and enjoyment. The brain's involvement prepares the body for sexual pleasure and encourages blood flow to the pelvic floor and other pleasure producing organs. So, pleasure is prioritised during foreplay above orgasms and above penetration. By taking your time and slowly sparking every nerve ending in your body, you can connect your mind and body and make your brain more open to the concept of sex without shame and without guilt. Given that nothing will change if we don't communicate with each other, communication is essential in all interactions. Our partner's thoughts cannot be read by us. Instead of pointing fingers at one another, discussing what works and what doesn't work, we need to collaborate. Wanting pleasure is not self-centered or selfish. It is just something that you need and you need to prioritize. To minimize the feelings of shame and guilt, communication is extremely crucial. Your shame may be heightened by secrecy, silence, or judgment of yourself. If you let the guilt fester in your thoughts, it will just serve to reinforce current notions about how worthless, unlovable, how guilty and how shameful and what a horrible person you feel you are. If left unresolved, toxic shame frequently contributes to a wide range of mental health problems such as addictions, self-isolation, social isolation, codependency, other mental health issues, and uncontrollable anger. Shameful emotions can become harmful if they persist for too long without being addressed. They do not improve us, rather they keep us trapped in a loop of fear, guilt, and humiliation. So you can let go of the shame and guilt via hypnotherapy. So hypnotherapy is a very potent and useful tool to assist you in letting go of feelings of shame and guilt. Recognizing that you don't want to cling on to your feelings of shame and guilt is the first step towards overcoming them. The next step is to act in order to let go of the guilt and shame. And you can achieve both of these objectives with the use of hypnotherapy. So hypnotherapy will first enable you to see that the shame and guilt that you are holding is not benefiting you. Then you may start to focus on what you actually want and take the steps to get in place. Hypnotherapy will also assist you in releasing any emotional baggage, sex-related obstacles, and past encounters. It can do this by releasing links from the past and present, by cutting ties and letting go of that shame and guilt you are carrying around with you. It can help you control negative thinking and stop you viewing things as being so simple or complex. And it can also reunite your mind and body. So once you can let go of that shame and guilt, you can release it from different parts of your body, and then the mind and body can become connected once again and open to feeling pleasure and sensations. So thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you found it useful. Leave any comments that you like in the box below. I'll also leave some links for the videos for the vagus nerve calibration and stimulation as well. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye for now.